It's about the view. It's like it's become like a medical hospital that displays human misfailure. Like it's like here, let's look at this political oddity. You know, it's like it really is like the left-wing equivalent of a carnival sideshow, except instead of bearded ladies and fat clowns and two-headed cows. Well, let me rephrase that.
All that and the price of butter. Sunny gets the game ball. If it wasn't for her, asking that question, it might have been a closer election.
Greg Gutfeld and Tyrus take roast to a whole new level, absolutely demolishing Sunny Hostin like she's the last slice of pizza at a party, gone before you even blink. Expect savage burns, epic clapbacks, and enough awkward silence to fill a library. Curious how two TV heavyweights turned a serious talk show into a comedy roast battle? Stick around, because this hilarious takedown is one for the history book.
It was to mine. I was like, Ching, listen, they're bitter, they're angry, they're entitled. They also should be. This should have been a reset for everyone who pushed lies and misinformation for the last. They call them Hitler. They call these things. America rejected them, and instead of coming back and saying we lied, they instead are now doubling down. So let her keep doing it, because if she keeps that up, we're going to keep getting the Senate and probably the House and the White House, because people see right through your lies. So keep doing what you're doing. Game ball.
Greg Gutfeld and Tyrus are back at it, and this time their target is Sunny Hostin. Yes, that's Sunny Hostin, the ever-serious, always on the offensive, intellectual, no-nonsense co-host whose "don't mess with me" energy could scare a pack of wild wolves. But when Greg and Tyrus get together, it's like throwing a lion and a crocodile into the same tank. Except this time, the lion and croc don't just fight each other. They make the hapless gazelle look utterly lost in the wilderness.
Hostin's obsession with race gets thrown back in her face. Today's video comes to us from Sunny Hostin. Sounds like a town. We're in Sunny Hostin. She was on PBS's Finding Your Roots, a show dedicated to researching celebrity ancestry. For context, Sunny is a staunch supporter of reparations and has made a fortune spewing nonsense about white privilege and racial justice. Well, turns out she's not as oppressed as she claims she is. She's actually the descendant of slave owners from Europe.
Sunny Hostin is famous for being the embodiment of serious daytime TV punditry. If earnestness were a sport, she'd have more gold medals than Michael Phelps. She's the type who reads the news like it's a solemn national tragedy, delivering every sentence with the weight of a funeral procession. But you see, when Greg Gutfeld opens his mouth, it's like a comedy grenade going off in a library. And when Tyrus chimes in, it's like a gentle giant dropping a piano on your foot. Slow, steady, and devastating.
And The View, you don't need to find Trumpers. You need to fire your race baiters.
Yeah.
You need to fire the two races. You've had people. You had a McCain on there. You've had people on there before, and you ran them off. Mm-hmm. So the racist ones who want to stick to this, Whoopi and Sunny, and the, was it Bette Midler? What's her name? Yeah, broke-ass Bette Midler. Fire them and bring people in. Maybe you could get McCain to come back. She was a Republican, but every show and every break, she was nearly in tears because she was being
Let's talk Greg first. Greg Gutfeld is the kind of guy who treats the news like it's a joke that just keeps writing itself, and he's got the punchlines to prove it. Watching Greg take on Sunny Hostin is like watching a Shakespearean playwright roast a soap opera star. Greg's weapon. Sarcasm so sharp it could slice through steel, mixed with cultural references so on point that you'd think he's got the whole internet in his back pocket.
The View is a victim of the sunk cost fallacy. You know, how can you now speak the truth and when for years you've been telling lie after lie after lie? Now you're carrying this big bag of rocks around you because it's too harmful for their ego to admit that we really were dishonest. And they could be honest. All they would have to say is, look, we hate Trump so much. We were willing to lie about Joe Biden because we felt he was preferable. We thought our lying and our cover-up was on your behalf. Just say that. You're still scum, but at least you're honest
Greg doesn't just insult Sunny. He turns her into a symbol of everything he finds absurd about the mainstream media. The predictable outrage, the virtue signaling, the self-righteousness wrapped in designer suits. He paints her as the poster child for TV personalities who have turned earnestness into a full-time job, forgetting sometimes that humor is a tool, not a threat point. One of Greg's classic moves is taking Sunny's most serious arguments and making them sound like they're coming from a robot programmed to recite progressive talking points with zero human empathy. His sarcasm turns her points into the media equivalent of a broken record, playing the same tune over and over until even the loudest fans have tuned out. You can almost hear the invisible eye roll as Greg takes the microphone, turning what was once a fierce argument into a punchline. But what really makes Greg's attacks so satisfying is that they're not just mean for the sake of being mean. No, Greg's humor works because it's clever. It exposes the contradictions and theatricality of Sunny's TV persona. He's not just mocking her. He's holding up a mirror to the entire genre of daytime political commentary, revealing it as sometimes more soap opera than serious news. And then there's Tyrus. The contrast between Greg and Tyrus is like night and day, or maybe more like a sledgehammer and a feather duster. But in this case, the feather duster hits harder than you'd expect. Tyrus's style is simple, direct, and delivered with the calmness of someone who's just realized you're about to get hit by a freight train, but you don't.
The problem is that you have to go after the racist people, and if be the CEO goes, you know what, I'm not going to allow a woman on my show or man that will go after white America and talk about them like dogs. That doesn't represent our ideals or values for anyone. And get rid of those people, and this will clear up real quick. So do you have to actually look in the mirror and clean up your own backyard and get the racist people out? Because that's who you allowed in. You allowed black racist on TV who could just go all day and say anything about white people. And I guess lo and behold, they forgot that there's a lot of people at home, white people at home during the day that are not watching your show anymore. So just clean it up.
Yeah,
Greg is lightning fast with sarcasm. Tyrus is the slow burn, letting the silence do half the work. His humor is about deflating the overinflated, and Sunny Hostin is a perfect balloon. He zeroes in on the moments where Sunny's arguments get so complicated that even she probably loses track of what she's trying to say. Then, with one deadpan comment, he boils it down to the basics, usually something so obvious or blunt that it's impossible not to laugh. Tyrus doesn't have to shout or slam down a mic to make his point. His delivery is the ultimate troll, quiet, calm, and so offhand that the joke sneaks up on you. It's like he's saying, hey, I'm just here to observe, but also, you're ridiculous. And when Tyrus turns his attention to Sunny, it's like a gentle giant quietly pointing out that the emperor has no clothes. The brilliance of Tyrus's approach is that it highlights how sometimes the most sophisticated pundits get caught up in their own complexity, losing sight of the fact that the audience just wants clarity and honesty, or at least some entertaining chaos. Sunny Hostin's high-octane seriousness crumbles when met with Tyrus's subtle smirks and slow-burn zingers. Now, what really makes this takedown special is how Greg and Tyrus work.
She is shaming descendants of this. Will she continue to do that when she is now one of them, Dana? And it is funny. She's so wrapped up in identity, and she had no idea who she was.
Well, now we understand why she always makes Whoopi get the coffee.
Greg lays the groundwork with his high-energy, sharp-as-a-knife sarcasm. He's the hype man, the one who throws the first haymaker, calling out the absurdities of the media world and painting Sunny as the queen of sanctimony. Then Tyrus swoops in with the perfect slow-motion finishing move, delivering that killer one-liner that leaves everyone gasping and laughing at the same time. Their styles complement each other like a perfectly choreographed dance. Greg is the quick jab, Tyrus the steady uppercut. Greg stirs the pot, Tyrus serves the cold splash of reality. Together, they create a rhythm that Sunny just can't keep up with. It's no contest. It's like watching a heavyweight champion team up with a tactical genius to dismantle a prima donna who forgot she signed up for a comedy match, not a debate club. And while Sunny tries to hold on to her seriousness, her solemnity like a shield, it's clear she's outmatched. Her usual strategy of firing off earnest rebuttals falls flat when faced with humor. That's so pointed it leaves no room for a comeback. Because here's the thing, humor, especially the kind Greg and Tyrus wield, isn't just about laughs. It's about exposing the pretense, highlighting the contradictions, and making the serious look a little ridiculous. This is why the whole thing is so much more than just a funny moment on TV. It's a glimpse into a cultural shift. Traditional punditry, with its earnest lectures and carefully worded arguments, is being challenged by humor, sarcastic, exaggerated, unapologetic humor that can slice through the noise and land truth bombs while making you laugh so hard
Hillary Clinton. And the bottom
They did all
line
those
is
things.
This country is a misogynistic country, and this country is a country that, out of all of the first world countries, hasn't been able to elect a female president.
Well,
That's just factual.
Okay, listen.
That's not what I read. The true sign of the apocalypse is someone that dumb has a law.
Greg and Tyrus are at the forefront of that movement, using laughter as a weapon to cut through the overblown seriousness that Sunny Hostin represents. They're not just roasting a TV personality, they're redefining how political commentary gets delivered in an age when people are tired of the same old solemn speeches and want a little chaos with their news. The chemistry between Greg Gutfeld and Tyrus is the kind of comedic synergy that feels scripted but somehow isn't, like peanut butter and jelly, but with a lot more snark and a bit less sugar. It's not just two guys talking trash, it's a precision strike team, one brain-wired, quick-witted intellectual who fires off observations so sharp they could cut glass. His humor is layered, a mix of highbrow cultural references and biting sarcasm that dissects the absurdity of media personalities with surgical precision. He doesn't just make jokes, he constructs verbal jabs that expose the theatricality behind Sunny Hostin's earnestness, reducing her grand proclamations to the equivalent of a TED Talk given by a malfunctioning robot. His humor is like watching a master chef pick apart a soggy sandwich, and it's deliciously savage.